So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm no stranger on this channel to criticizing voice actors. Typically, in the past, it's been anime voice actors. Because I found out early on when defending Vic Mignogna from the spurious and completely ridiculous allegations that were levied against him from fellow voice actors like Jamie Marchi and Monica Rial, that these people are genuinely terrible. Before we get into the main topic of today's video, which is video game voice actors in the West working on Genshin Impact, I want to do a little bit of a refresher course. Don't worry, this won't take long, but I think that it's important that you understand the type of people that we're dealing with here so that you get a more complete picture of why I have such disdain and revulsion for these people. So without further ado, I've got two clips for you. Number one is Jamie Marchi.
Somebody used AI to fix the Dragon Maid dub? Oh boy.
Oh, those pesky patriarchal societal demands were getting on my nerves. So I changed clothes.
What's with that outfit?
Oh, everyone was always saying something to me, so I tried toning it down for exposure. How is it?
You should try changing your body next.
Damn. Bro, like, she was savage about that.
It's no wonder those annoying voice actors are upset.
They're all so arrogant and annoying.
Nah, just the Western ones.
Bro, I wasn't expecting that. Damn, that's really good. Bro, no wonder they're worried about losing their job. Bro, I'd be worried too. This shit was funny. I would have never known this was AI.
How would you like to respond to that kind of criticism?
To the criticism, like,
So I tried toning it down for exposure.
Somebody used...
Yeah. So, Jamie Marchi is the one that gave that quote at that thing at the end where she said, I have a vagina. She thought it was like some strong, empowered feminist thing. I have a vagina? And if that offends you or you're scared, like, oh my God. But here's the other one before we get into it. This is Sean Schemmel, the voice actor for Goku, talking about Vic Mignogna, the voice actor for Broly.
He would play a mailman. He would be like following the mailman around.
I would
right?
never. No, that's
If he was
way
like,
too old. I only do 12-year-old boys, pretty much. I mean, that's
Right, but
that's what I love
what
to
I'm
do.
saying is it was just
That's
an
what I
example.
really love to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, I mean, I appreciate that. But the fact of the matter is, I love doing 12-year-old boys, and I love going to preschools and watching them through the fence to get in the mood.
Yeah, so these people are pieces of shit. They're terrible. And I just thought that was a good refresher course on who and what we're dealing with in the voice acting community. Now, this is video games. Now, admittedly, I've talked about video game voice actors very little. But I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot about how arrogant they can be. I've heard about the far left blue sky checkmark freaks that have gone off the deep end and think that people should be subsidizing their career, which is on life support because of AI, and because of their bad behavior, and because of them not doing a very good job, and the atrocious localization, because of the failures in their industry that they are complicit with and actually seek to expedite. Because of that, AI has become far more appealing as an option. And as we saw from that clip from Asmongold, no one's really going to tell the difference once they're gone.
Back, guys, and thank you for the amazing support on yesterday's video, where we discussed the recent news about Honkai Star Rail's main characters being replaced by Hoyoverse, seemingly because the VAs were a part of this strike or unofficial strike or collective work refusal, however you want to put it. And so the months go by, they still refuse to work, and Hoyoverse eventually, well, now has replaced them, as mentioned, with VAs who are willing and want to work. By the way, guys, look at that. I'm almost at 1,000 followers on my VTuber Twitter account. Consider following me on my VTuber Twitter account, linked in the description and pinned comment, and thank you. Now let's return to Allegra Clark and a series of tweets that she previously made that we actually talked about before. Why are we taking a look at this? Because this is going to be the prelude, a quick reminder of what she said then, as she has made another recent statement similarly saying that the strike needs to end, and some other voice actors, including, I believe, the VA for Capitano in Genshin Impact.
Now, I'll be honest, I used to really respect Jennifer Hale. I used to actually respect her because, I mean, she played some of the most iconic characters from when I was growing up. She played Basta LaShawn. She played Morgan from Dragon Age Origins. She played a lot of other characters too. Don't get me wrong. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. But those two alone were very, very iconic. Jennifer Hale has played in a lot of different roles. A lot of different roles. And, you know, a lot of them are amazing. I'm not going to look up her whole biography, but it's a mile long. I think she played female shepherd. I think that was her from Mass Effect. I mean, she has a long pedigree. I think she also played Satele Shan in Star Wars The Old Republic. But I could be wrong about that, but I think she did. My point is that I used to respect her a lot, but not really so much anymore. Because, unfortunately, for me, politics is not something that I can always necessarily separate from the artist. And if you have come out and done something or said something that I think is just obnoxious and repulsively stupid and woke and, you know, has this left-wing aura, it's not that I'm immediately going to hate you. I'm just going to sort of start distancing myself. And the more that you put yourself in that camp, the more that I'm just going to slowly back away. And unfortunately, that's the situation with Jennifer Hale. She's a very talented voice actress, or at least she was. I haven't heard anything recent from her, I don't think. But I can tell you that the politics does play a big aspect. The attitude of the person does play a big aspect. And when you jump in on things or become political and you alienate people, your job is on life support. And unfortunately, the more people you alienate, the more people like me are going to look at it and go, you know what? Maybe AI ain't so bad. And then no one's going to miss when you're gone.
Has also just shared similar sentiments. So, as mentioned, let's get a quick refresher of what occurred here, then we'll move on to the new stuff. I'll just read up to like the first three here, where she said, "I'm not privy to anything that happens during negotiations, what the current language is or isn't, or anything along those lines. But I am genuinely scared that this strike will have done more damage to the industry than anyone could have foreseen, whether AI wins or not." This, as you guys probably know, responded Jennifer Hale, who made a statement regarding something she said and apologizing for that thing during a committee meeting for SAG-AFTRA about the strike, once again back on May 1st. So, Ledger Clark then said, "There's so much ugliness happening in the community, mistrust, accusations, sabotage, and fractured friendships. The stakes of the strike are understandably massive, given that they do have to do with how our voices are used in the future, whether we consent to any of it or are paid. Those stakes mean that everyone is on edge, and everyone is passionate. But my gosh, I don't recognize the industry compared to last year. This is a freaking nightmare, and I think it needs to end." She went on to say more than that, but we're just going to read up to that part for now, because similarly, she has now made a series of tweets saying once again, she thinks it's time to end this strike. There is one more thing I'll point out really quick though, that being where she also went on to say, "Fans don't trust us. We'll never fully recover from this."
She's absolutely right. Yeah, no, they will never recover. I think that's a perfectly valid statement. Because the attitude is everything. And when you make it easy for people not to like you, and then your job becomes an inconvenience. See, the thing is, your job is to create content to entertain us. And you've been shitting on us for years because you thought that there was no other option. Well, AI has come along and basically made you redundant. Because a company can generate an AI voice at this point. It costs them a fraction of the cost. It can do just as good a job because they can change the inflections. They can do anything they want, and it never gets tired. It never has to stop. It never has to use the bathroom. It never barks, or how could you treat me in this way? I wanted green M&Ms. Like, it's not a prima donna. It's just a tool that they can use to expedite the content that people want. And if it's under a, more strict control, it's not going to allow for the inclusion of feminist far left indoctrination and bullshit, which is also going to be another major positive. So you are pushing a boulder uphill, and then you're wondering, why is this so heavy? Why aren't you people pushing this with me? Well, no, you understand. I'm on the other side of the boulder. I'm trying to push it over you. Because you people are awful. You people are awful. The way that you've treated fans, the way that you've talked to them at conventions, try to call them incels and nerds, and, Jamie Markey's like, a bunch of virgins are mad. They're mad I have a vagina. Bitch, put the fries in the bag. That is your only purpose to society after you get canned and replaced by AI. Bitch, put the fries in the bag. You expect people to have sympathy for you? You expect people to feel bad for you after you've alienated them, ostracized them, made them feel uncomfortable in a hobby that they love that you didn't even help create? And you think people are going to feel bad for you? You think people are going to fight for you? No. No, we're going to laugh. We're going to laugh at your expense. Now, is it the nicest thing in the world to do that? No. But you're awful people. And you deserve what's coming next. You thought you were going to have a strike. And you were going to get paid more money. This is for us. You decided that you were going to go on a strike and you were going to send a message, all while the goodwill that you had built up was at an all-time low. And now we're at a point where not only do people not care if you lose your job, they're actually rooting for you too. So she's right. Fans will never trust you again.
And yeah, a lot of these VAs have completely burned the goodwill that fans had for them. And what these VAs also need to understand is that there's been a growing distaste towards the voice acting industry, the EN voice acting industry specifically, I should say, for a number of years, as far too many VAs, English VAs, have been caught doing terrible things, whether it's attacking fans or being just absolutely overt predators, stuff like that. And so this recent situation with the strike and how manipulative these VAs have been and getting all caught being manipulative liars, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, it made that growing animosity and growing distaste towards the ENVA industry that much worse. That takes us to yesterday, where Allegra Clark made this new statement responding to another VA who seems to have deleted his tweet. Go figure. We can try and presume some of the context though. First, let's see what Allegra Clark has to say. They made a cheeky little correction this morning to confirm that employers are holding to it. Actually, sorry, it's time to end this thing. AAA productions are actively moving overseas because there's no signed contract to work on. I frickin' hate it here. This is a strike where people are gleefully reporting each other to SAG for working non-union. My gosh, these people are so pathetic. These VAs are like literal rats. They literally snitching on each other to try and look better to the other VAs in the union that approve of such behavior. Or the idea of non-union actors who work non-union during the strike may be denied membership in the future is being thrown around in actor spaces. This stuff is petty. Yeah, let's read that one more time. Non-union actors who work non-union during the strike may be denied membership in the future. So even if you're not a part of the union, they expect you to...
Yeah, they're rats. Basically, they're trying to intimidate and bully other voice actors to join them. Otherwise, well, when we get this thing settled and we get the things we want, you're going to be on the outs. I hate to tell you this, but I'm on the side of the non-union actors because they're getting the money while they can. Because they probably see what's coming down the pike. And it's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good for you. You're going to be unemployed. Now, there may be some people who can retain their voice acting job. There may be some people. Usually, I think those will probably be like celebrities, people who you can like motion capture and it will be in their contract that they voice the character. I think that still could be a thing. But your average run-of-the-mill voice actor in the West, you're not getting anything. And so if you want to go on strike and you want to try to say, we demand more money, now when your job is less relevant than ever, that's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it works for them.
To stand in solidarity, as they put it, with the strike. What this really means is they expect you to not make money and not work. They think you have the privilege, the luxury of not needing that money. And if you do work, if you want to work, you need to make some money. Well, obviously there's like other jobs you could be working too and all that. But I digress, at least in this space with voice acting. These other VAs will hate you, call you a scab, harass you, and SAG itself might blacklist you, and or at the very least deny you membership to the union in the future if for some reason you did ever want to join that corrupt union, which would probably be a mistake anyways. Continuing. Some of the most loving and professional people I know are being written off as employer plants for trying to encourage people to understand the language for themselves. Oh my gosh. Hardworking established talent are being called elites disparagingly for wanting to go back to work. To be clear, and I sincerely apologize for not leading with this, if I see a single frickin' one of my peers tagged or heard their name tossed around with threats, then you're also part of the problem. And let's address the elephant in the room. Some actors do want certain non-union games to flip union, but many are waiting to go back because they don't want to or feel they can't work non-union during the strike. Either it's to try to be a team player with the union or work out of fear of retaliation. Now, there is something that I find quite awful, and that is, let's go back really quick. So this section where she was saying, this is a strike where people are gleefully reporting each other to SAG for working non-union. And I mentioned this is like some pathetic rat behavior to me. This seems like what happened to Venti's VA, Erica, because we know that Erica said she was getting threatening letters from SAG. But then you had a number of VAs on Blue Sky talking about what Erica said and disparaging her for criticizing the union and talking about this stuff. And a number of these VAs, according to my recollection, it was like Kyle McCarley, Karina, and Little Kuribo, and some other like random.
Little Kuribo, man, there's another one. He was pretty good for Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, and he was pretty good as Frieza in Dragon Ball Z Abridged, but man, that guy fell off harder than anyone I've ever seen. Holy shit. And look, I'm not one, you know me, I'm not one to talk about people's spouses or their significant others. And I haven't kept up on them, so I don't know if they're still married or what the deal is. But holy shit. His wife or girlfriend or whatever, I mean, look, my God. Like, that person looked like they were manufactured in a feminist laboratory and they had all the settings put to max. I mean, holy shit. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say anything more. But because I came across in my research a video of them, a Little Kuribo and his wife. It was from years and years and years ago. And they were doing some kind of fundraiser, and holy shit. That's all I'm going to say, okay? I'm just saying that he's had some very tough issues. He's a very effeminate man, got some very big mental issues. I don't know what he's doing on social media. That probably would be the last place for him. I'm just going to say the guy's a fucking loser. Okay, he's a soy-based loser. Talented in this one aspect, but a fucking loser and a complete and total mess. And married to somebody like that is just red alert. Anyway, back to the video. I don't usually talk about spouses or family members, but they were doing content together, and doing research, I saw that clip, and I understand, that guy's neutered, and so anything that he says about this topic, I would immediately discard it. That's just my opinion.
Ones here and there were making it sound like they knew exactly what the letters Erica got were, despite the fact that
I don't know who any of these people are. To be honest, I'm not a big I'm not a big name in the anime or VTuber or video game voice acting community. I don't know people's real names or anything like that, but it does seem to me that this whole thing is a sort of tribalistic schoolyard bully game of, well, if you're not with us, if you're not with our clique, then we're going to bully you out. It's like, dude, you're in a business. If you think that it's the right thing to do to go strike in this economy where you have, AI on the horizon, where companies are like looking at it, eyeballing it, if you think that's the right move for you, then fine. But if other people decide for themselves that that's not what they want to do, you have no right to impede on their business or their future endeavors. You have no right to do that. You can make whatever decision for yourself. If you want to go out of business sooner, you can do that and hold a silly little stupid strike and then be replaced. But ultimately, the amount of bad will that the voice acting community has generated is unreal, considering that their entire business is predicated on making content for us and for us to side with them. Because if it reaches a point where people are against voice actors, which a lot of people are, thanks to Jamie Markey, Monica Rial, Sean Schimmel, Chris Sabat, all of these people that are just scum of the earth, terrible people, and all these people on Blue Sky and these bullies and these degenerate far left subhuman animals, these mentally ill freaks and these bottom feeders, if they generate enough bad will and they're reaching critical mass that people detach from them, they basically sink like an anchor. They sink like an anchor because AI will sweep in and do a purge on their entire industry, the likes of which we haven't seen. And you know what? The response from people like me will be, and that's because of what you've generated. All your bad will is coming home to roost.
Erica didn't disclose what exactly they were, just that they were threatening, and then Kyle McCarley started talking a whole lot about breaking Global Rule 1. So this made it seem like one of them or another VA had ratted Erica out, and then behind closed doors in private, like told some of these other VAs in the clique, like, oh, I reported Erica. Like, it's some of the most pathetic rat stuff ever. Now, all that said, I don't think SAG should even be operating this way to begin with, because I think it's pretty scummy. Because on one hand, the union has Global Rule 1, which states here, according to sagafter.com, and this is something we've talked about a lot in the past too, but bear with me. No member shall render any services or make an agreement to perform services for any employer who has not executed a basic minimum agreement with the union, which is in full force and effect in any jurisdiction in which there is a SAG-AFTRA national collective bargaining agreement in place. This provision applies worldwide. Excuse me, by the way, it's sagaftra.org, not .com, but similarly on sagaftra.org, they have Union Myth 10. Quote, as a union member, I'm not allowed to audition for non-union work. They say, wrong. Fact, you are allowed to audition for non-union work. However, you cannot work without a union contract. Audition, get the part. You're likely to stand out in a non-union crowd. Once you're offered the role, explain that you can't do the role unless it's union. Let the producer know that going union is not nearly as complicated or expensive as they might imagine. Staff is right here in Texas to help with the paperwork. Let's pause for a second, and then we'll take a look at these three bullet points, and then we'll go back to the rest of Lega Clark's statement and also see what Capitano's VA had to say and all that great stuff too. But pausing here, what we just read, a few very scummy things I'd like to point out. First of all, trying to get people to apply, or excuse me, audition for non-union work just so you can try and flip the whole project union. Very scummy. As we know, it can also potentially negatively impact the non-union people working on that job therefore. For example, getting them fired or forcing them to join the union and pay members dues that they don't even want a part of. Otherwise, they lose their roles potentially. Very scummy. It's also just a giant waste of time for people too. Like, having your members audition for a job knowing full well that they can't technically work that job, as mentioned, is a big waste of time. These people are holding auditions looking for people to hire, and then for them, your member to then turn around and be like, actually, thank you for booking me on this role. Audition went well, thanks for booking me, but I can't actually work this. You're like wasting everyone's time.
Yeah, that's true.
And let me point out here where they say you're likely to stand out in a non-union crowd. Notice how at this point in time in the process, the person, the actor auditioning, wouldn't actually be known to be a union member until like later when they spring that info on them. My point being, what they're implying here goes back to the pompous statements that SAG-AFTRA has made before, where they say that their members are more talented, better actors than the non-union plebs. And I'm rephrasing that.
And this again goes into the whole thing about people are going to celebrate when these freaks lose their jobs because they're so arrogant, and yet AI is soon going to be able to do a better job than they can. Oh my God, I can't wait. I know some people will disagree with that, and you're free to do that. You're free to defend these people that look down on you and would treat you like shit if they ever met you in person. That's your own issue to deal with. But for me, I look at this and I go, yeah, AI is going to be replacing you soon. So get comfortable with putting the fries in the bag. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go watch the rest of this video, it's from Hirohei. It's Genshin. Voice actor just exposed how toxic VAs are. There's another there's another good bit of content. I'm not gonna make this like a 45-minute video. But what I will say in conclusion is that these voice actors deserve this. They're terrible people. Not all of them. I understand. Not all of them. I think Vic Mignogna is a good guy. There are some people that I do think are good people. But overall, in the West, a lot of them are whiny and untidy, communist shit stains. And people that demonstrate the worst sort of judgment, have the worst politics, are just abrasive, toxic, delusional, pathetic, and just retarded. And so, my take on this is good. Lose your job. The sooner that you fire these people, and get them out, the more that you're going to have people returning to play your games. Like fire what is his name? Paimon and Genshin Impact. You do that, I guarantee you're going to have a lot of happy people who are going to come back to the game. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.